Shalom, shalom. All praise to Yahweh. Let's go ahead and let's get this thing going. So I need to get a few things going. Forgive anything y'all see that ain't got a part of this. I'm just trying to get this all set up. Oh yeah, make sure I get my. sorry, y'all. Yeah, I'm doing this for a reason. I just got some good evidence I want to show. Let's see. Okay, let's start right here.
All right, now my claim is that the granite is ground up literal flesh of creatures. Now, this is a molded statuary. It was painted red. That's why the red is here. Other than that, there is no blood work in this. It's ground up particles, homogeneous, as I will show you, and how they ground them up. Now, I can virtually guarantee you this is ground up body parts. The white is tendinous and bony materials. The reddish looking stuff is the weak stuff that erodes rusty blood. The black is the vein blood, which turns hard. You know, you see this. Some of it's clearish looking, some of it's white. The white, believe it or not, is the tendon, and this stuff is more or less the bony material and some other stuff. But there's no metals in here. That's the only piece of metal in this whole countertop. There's 32 feet worth of counter here. And look at these chunks. You see that? These are chunks. These are little chunks of things that nothing grows like that. These are chunks of, a butcher would tell you. And I mean, I've had him tell me, yes, absolutely, no question whatsoever, that is ground up meat. Or ground up, they make sausage out of things like this. Of course, they don't have the black blood in there because the black blood is the vein blood in animals. They drain most of the blood out of the animals before they grind them all up. So you don't get a lot of excess blood. You certainly don't get a lot of vein black blood because it takes a while for them to harden up into these chunks. But these would have been the little tubes. These are the little tubes that were in your, or were in the guy's veins. And what happens in veins is different than arteries. Veins have clamps in them, and they clamp off every so often so that the blood can't go backwards. It goes only this way back up to the heart, and it can't go backwards. So there's like these little valves, and if it comes backwards, they pinch together, and it opens, it goes this way. They come back, bloop, pinches off. So that's why these come out, and the tubes that were literally the veins of the guy. The arteries different. Arteries, they're in that red. Red blood is very weak blood. Well, it's not weak blood, but it's soluble, much more soluble, and and it doesn't harden up in chunks like the vein blood does. here's from a different cut of marble, of granite somewhere else, but it's exactly the same thing. This is, nothing particulates in that homogeneous manner like that. Nothing does, other than something's ground up. All right, now this is how they ground people up. That's people in here. They're killing these people and grinding them up under these crushing wheels, and then they're using that to build things, and it is going to turn into granite. That's what happened. Now, you just think, oh, that can't be. Well, it is. That's exactly what happened. They ground them up, and look, they're like crocodile faces or hippopotamus, whatever they are. And then they had apparently the gods that were ruling over them, watching them grind people up. That's what I'm seeing. All right, this is from a paper I did a few years ago. It says they process rock for gold and metal and all that stuff. Now, it goes down here and it talks about how the basalt.
I want to point out something. Notice he just said they process rock, not carved it, processed it.
That stuff. Now, it goes down here and it talks about how the basalt in these Olmec heads and so forth. The Olmec heads were not carved; they were molded, and they were made from the same sort of stuff I just showed you, granite type stuff. They call it basalt. Well, it's not basalt. Basalt is this. Basalt is a dark-colored, fine-grained igneous rock composed mainly of plagioclase and pyroxene minerals. You have to look those up to see what they are, but that's what they're made of. It's most commonly forms an extrusive rock, such as a lava flow, but can also form in small intrusive bodies, such as an igneous dike or thin sill. This is what they're saying basalt is. Basalt is commonly very fine grained. It's so fine you can't see the grain. It is, I was going to put something in here, nearly impossible to see individual minerals without magnification. You just saw what I showed you with the granite. What is granite? Totally the opposite. The individual chunks are ground up. Granite is supposed to be an intrusive, not supposed to be where it is found. That's what intrusive means. And it results in a coarse, textured rock in which individual mineral grains are easily visible. Granules, granite, granulites. The grains are quite large compared to basalt crystals. Basalt is from lava. I go along with that, but this is not. The granules are very well mixed and quite uniform and do not contain metals to any normal degree. Rock does not come in this processed form. It does not. Granite is not natural. The granite I'm talking about, homogeneous granite. These granite intrusions, not supposed to be where they're found, having no metals in them, are often located next to, listen to this word, orogenic mineral systems. Well, what is that? They contain all metals in high proportions. Those are organs and so forth. So next to the hearts and livers and kidneys and lungs, hearts and lungs specifically have all the metals and a lot of blood and so forth in them. So it goes down here. Worldwide average of the chemical composition of granite by weight, based on 2,485 analysis, they're all the elements in granite. There's no precious metals, none. I mean, there's aluminum, there's sodium, calcium, iron, that's all the junk metals. There's no precious metals in granite, none. What are orogenic mineral systems and zones? Orogenic mineral system unites a diverse group of mineral deposits that form during orogenesis. Orogenesis is a person dying, and it includes lode gold, which is the chunks of gold, not placer gold. Placer gold is little bitty pieces they find running down the rivers. This is lode gold. This is chunks of gold. And cobalt type, CuAu, zinc, all of these different metals in deposits. The conclusion is the platinum group electrum. They used to call it electrum in the ancient days, and which is all these platinum groups, and that's what they wanted to take out. That's what they were looking for. the electrum and precious metals. This is the only thing missing from this homogeneous granite. So just use your own common sense. My research indicates granite intrusions are likely tailings from metal processing, the spoils left over after they take everything they wanted off. All metals in granite are gone. They're gone. There are the exact same metals removed in gold processing, leaching, and washing processes. That's what they do to extract. Construction material was the end result, and that's what they used to make all these things. And ordered, shipped it all day long. No.
Let's stop. I want you to notice what the man is pointing out. He said construction material was the result. It's the result. I want to go to a scripture. All right, this is the book of Jasher, chapter number 9. Now, I want to look at verse number 10. It says, "And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew the Lord, for they served each man his own God, except Noah and his household and all of those who were under the council knew the Lord in those days." I want you to focus on this right here. It says, "And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew the Lord, for they served each man his own God." Well, what about this? I got some I've been looking at. I think this is history being made. We're going to rewrite history. All right, let's rewrite history because I got something to prove this.
What drives you? Introducing the Wake Forest MBA.
Are we doing all that fair use?
Online, driven by
I want y'all
market
to
needs to
really
help you
pay
gain
attention to what
skills
this man
for your
finna show. Because
so you're performance ready from day one. Accelerate your career.
days
The Wake
search
Forest
every
MBA.
man his
Now online.
own God. You should keep that in mind.
Okay, this is absolutely fabulous to speak about here. This is from Film Rise documentaries. And it's called Egypt, Episode 1, Chaos and Kings, full episode. Absolutely stunning work. And I just want to comment on what they have to say here. Now listen to this. This is really interesting. Here it goes.
The stones, some weighing over 1.5 tons, didn't come from Nabta Playa. They'd been dragged here from a distant quarry. For the desert dwellers to transport large stones and erect them required an incredible amount of effort and organization.
Obviously, I dispute the fact that they were dragged there. I say these are creatures' bodies.
The question is, why?
Now they're going to show
Fred
this.
Wendorf thinks they may mark the graves of important people or honor their spirits.
I say they are the graves.
Perhaps someone powerful enough to intercede with the gods and bring rain. One of the most imposing objects was found in this pit, perhaps the final resting place of a ruler or a chieftain.
All right, before we go any further, I want you to understand, and I've shown this a number of times, and I will show it again, the one from Brian Forrester, where he says, oh, interesting weathering patterns, and it's the guy's lungs and so forth. Now, the same situation here. They dressed these surfaces, no question. I'm not disputing that.
He said they dressed.
Yeah. But what they did was they dressed the body of the creature. And here it goes. So just watch it.
Whoa,
Pay
whoa.
close attention now.
He said they dressed the body of the creature. So this ain't carved.
Yeah. But what they did was they dressed the body of the creature. And here it goes. So just watch it. Pay close attention now to this part here. That's his guts. See that? That's his guts. You're going to see in a second. You see that? These are blood vessels. So there's some kind of, the blood was going up through there. You see over here, same thing. You see that is body tissue. Now, you see it? I mean, that's what it is. It's not, they didn't put that up in there and then make this around it. No.
At first it looked like an ordinary boulder.
Yeah, it looks like an ordinary boulder to most people. I understand what's going on. That's the guy's guts. Now,
But when Wendoff examined it more closely, it turned out to be a primitive sculpture.
I
it's not
want
as primitive
to
sculpture.
hit on this point.
And
I
all of
need
these
y'all to.
things are pieces of.
I need y'all to really get this. I need y'all to really look at the title. First mummies were inside stone. The title alone rewrites the history, because if this man can prove that the first mummies were actually encased in stone and were not put in sarcophagus, then that rewrites a lot of the so-called Egyptian / Kemetic history that these guys run around and talk about, because that clearly displaces all of that knowledge. I want you to really pay attention. One more time.
Lungs and so forth. Now, the same situation here. They dressed these surfaces, no question.
He said they dressed those surfaces, right? We go back to the book of Jasher, chapter number 9, and it says, and there was not a man found in those days in the earth who knew the Lord, for they served each man his own God. Now, he said they dressed these surfaces, right? I need y'all to hear one more time before we go into our piece of evidence, and we're going to confound a lot of people. Be patient, though, y'all. All right, be patient, guys.
Now, the same situation here. They dressed these surfaces, no question. I'm not disputing that. But what they did was they dressed the body of the creature. And here it goes. So just watch it.
So his claim is that in ancient Egypt, they didn't carve those statues, but they would take a person, a mummy, and then they would dress it completely in stone. Now, the reason why I went to that first video is because he points out in that first video that homogeneous granite is man-made. It's not natural to the earth. And I've shown some of this before. And we're gonna prove that.
All right, this also was a very large pharaoh.
I'm Mitchell. He's Payne. We couldn't be happier.
Or Salakia for that, y'all.
Shipments have arrived at Wilson County Hyundai, and with more on the way, making
Pharaoh. And it was all dressed out nicely, and it had some kind of little cartouches on its sides and so forth, on its shoulders. But there is the ribs, and there is where the lung is. This was from Brian Forrester. Thank you, Brian. Very strange weathering. Wow, it's the guy's body is falling apart, and they all are.
He said, and all of these bodies are falling apart. Okay. So I got something. I had to put it in an inbox. Israel. I got something. Excuse me. Salaki for that. I got something for that. Now, Israel, I want you to tell me, Israel, I want to hold this picture right here. Now, that man just said the first mummies were trapped in stone. What are we looking at? Now, I want you to ask yourself a question. If this was purely carved, why is there a leg underneath where you clearly see the rest of this is broke off? Why would there be a leg under that? Oh, hold on.
Now, the same situation here. They dressed these surfaces, no question. I'm not disputing that. But what they did was they dressed the body of the creature. And here it goes. So just watch it. Pay close attention now.
Israel, I want you to look real carefully at what you're looking at. This is a statue. And I'm going to tell y'all, it's very funny how I came across this photo. After I was looking and listening to some of these videos, I got to thinking. I was like, let me just look at some pictures of some statues. And I want to say literally within the first 15 minutes, I found this. Now, Israel, I want you to ask yourself, why is there a leg underneath casing of a statue? Because I'm ready to hear all y'all super Africans take on this. I'm ready to hear your excuse. Because I wanted what they double carved it? No. If this is one solid piece of stone, then why, when this piece is clearly broke off, why is it a leg under here? One more time. I don't think this is sunk in quite yet. You can get mad, that's fine. That's how I study. That's cute. And this is happening on live.
What drives you? Introducing the Wake Forest MBA online.
But I'm going to show
Driven
y'all
by
something
market
about this.
needs to help you gain the skills
And I think I
employers
found the
want.
link to this.
So you're
Now, to this part here, that's his guts. See that? That's his guts. You're going to see in a second.
So let's hold that. Let's hold that. Now, as this man has just shown, the first mummies would have been in stone. That's very profound. And he says that these people was making their own solution for what we would call today concrete, okay? And they was encasing people with this. Now, service again, Israel. If that's not the case, if this man is making that up, why is this like this? If he just told you those statues are now rotting on the inside and they're falling apart. See, that's the thing, yo. It's not a carving. Nothing about this is carved. Oh, yeah, they are giants too. But nothing about this is carved. Those were people, and this is how they were preserved. I want to show you something.
Denigrate you and just do not make up some story. And that's what's happening. All right, these are the kind of things that were just being ignored. You can see there's tractor tank treads here, and then wheels that drove this up, and they excavated slabs from the sides. And this is a gigantic tendon. It's in Fuerte de Sempiata, Bolivia. And there are many places around the world. And they use these slabs to build those walls that they, well, I'll show you. There's another place where the same tendon material, and these little white things are mineralizations. See this? It's exactly the same stuff. This is a tendon also, but it petrified in a different manner. All right, here's another place they did. Exact same vehicle, exact same cuts. And they were in different places around the world. But once again, you can see this. This is the fibrous material, the mineralization that is inside of these tendons. I know them very well. Let me just show you something. I got all of the equipment. I got all of the microscopes.
We're going to come back to that. Let's come back to that. Why Israel? Why is it a leg? Why is it a leg in this statue? You can clearly look at this statue and clearly see it was just like this at first. So you mean to tell me if we break this off, it's a body in here? These wasn't the Egyptians, yo. That's where you being tricked. This is way before the Egyptians. You know what? As I come on all of my, everything I look at, I only found one thing. Now, this is a ancient Kushite relief. Now, I want this to look real carefully. You see the size of them people? You see the size of that person? Let's look at proportion. You see the size of this person in proportion to the horse. Now look at this person. That is a giant. Look at all these other people. You see the animals, the other horses, bow, arrow, and the other people. That is a giant. No question about it. When it comes to this, I only find this history can be tracked in one place. And that history can be tracked back to this place, Samaria. This is Enki. This is the devil. And see, that's the trick. See, the trick, and crazy enough, I have to go to this for people to get the understanding. See that? Revelation 16:1. And the third angel poured out his bowl upon the rivers and the springs of water, and they became as blood. Now listen, for they have shed the blood of your saints and the blood of your prophets, and you have been given them blood to drink as they deserve. Now, who shed the blood of the prophets? And why are the angels pouring out on the sea? They're pouring out on the sea because these are the people that came out and retaught and taught and mingled. It was them. And they're the ones who did this building. One more time, man. See this? You see this? Now, why would there be a leg under this casing of a statue? Because it's not a carving, that's why. There's nothing carved about it. Absolutely nothing. You can clearly see his knee. I mean, come on, y'all. You know what? Look. Let me go. Hopefully I can find this video fairly fast. And some of this stuff I've shown before, I know, obviously. But some of those pictures I haven't found yet. And you know, he points out something. He points out that a lot of these statues are actually bleeding still. And you can see blood coming out of them. And you know, that's very interesting. Because I look at stuff. And he clearly points out, if you hydrate these stones, then blood will start to come out. And he says that all of those statues are now falling apart and they're rotting away. Big shout out to the video we just watched. Salaki, y'all, forgive me. Just want to find this video. I know I've shown this before, but what that picture right there, it seems a little bit different.
I didn't go to school to work for
Shalom, y'all.
somebody else. I went to school so I could be my own boss. It had always been a dream of mine to start my own business, but I wanted a business degree because I wanted to set myself up for success. I own a gym called Spanaway Fitness. Sometimes it can be a challenge. A lot of businesses fail first 18 months, and here I am 4 years.
Oh yeah. Been looking at a lot of stuff here lately. Now, why is this documented in history? No. Okay, they're gonna be funny. I do it like this. Lizard people, Samaria, right? That's how I looked it up last time. That's from Ur. That's from Samaria. Remember what the Torah said, right? Those figurines are from Samaria. See, I think, You know what? Let's point this out. Okay. I think people will need to see this. Watch this. You know what? Let's do it better. The same place I told you the Babylonian scribes came from. I want you to see this. Now I pulled up Sipper, right? All right. So let's get this. Do you see this? This is ancient Sipper. These are Amorites. But look at who they're serving. Oh, that's Sipper. 100%. See, and the thing about Sipper and Amorites and what people tend to watch. Let's do this. Okay. Now, and I put in Babylonian administration. Okay. I want y'all to please read. Organization and administration of cluster N, description of administration and Sipper is which would probably repairs the old Babylonian. Okay. Use the writings boards of Neo-Babylonian temple administration at Sipper. This is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. The governmental administrative system, this comes directly out of Babylon. That was introduced from the world in Babylon. Why so? Let's give an example. Why? I'm not gonna do it like that. Let's just do it like this. Sorry. I don't want to go through that way. So, these are Amorites. These are your Babylonian scribes. That's exactly who that is. And we're gonna go to that. Okay. I don't care what no Jake says. Shalom to everybody. I can't see y'all because I'm on this share screen. I figured some people's gonna come in. I'll be sharing on the next one if y'all got something y'all want to do. But I want to get this lesson out. This is Ezekiel 16. Again, the word of Yahweh came to me saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus said Adonai Elohim, unto Jerusalem, thy birthplace and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite. As for the nativity, on the day thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supper you with thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. No, I pitied thee to do any of these things, to have compassion upon thee, but thou was cast out in the open field to the loathing of thy person in the day thou was born. See, all that mean is the Hittites, which is Cain's children, they had no pigmentation. When the Amorite hooked up with them, they would have lost their pigmentation. He comes out with a child. His son comes out white. So he threw his son out in the field. He ain't want him no more. And when I passed by thee and I saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, winnest thou in thy blood live? Yeah, they said, unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood live. I caused thee to multiply and bud on the field, and thou hast increased and waxen great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breast are fashioned, and thine hair is grown, whereas thou was naked and bare, because this is a baby. It literally, as soon as it was born, it was thrown right outside. When I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Cover thy nakedness. Yeah, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant. You understand that? Y'all understand that? Because you know what? We finna go into some places and we finna hurt some people today, man. It's gonna have to be, it is what it is. If your chief or your elder can't take this, then it's on him. And the children, this is Numbers 22, and the children of Israel set forth and pitched the plains of Moab, side of Jordan by Jericho. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was so afraid because they were many, and Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licking up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at that time. He sent messages unto Balaam, the son of Beor, Pethor, which is by the river, and the land of the children of the people. Call him, saying, behold, there is a people that come out of Egypt. Behold, they will cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. So really what they're saying is like, dang, man, y'all see these people coming, they so deep, they gonna take all the food and drink all the water. Here go the problem. Come now, ye. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me, for this people are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that they may drive them out of the land. For what? For whom blessed it is blessed, and whom cursed is cursed. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hand, and they came unto Balaam and spoke unto him these words to Balak. And he said to them, lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as Yahweh shall speak to me. I want you to peep this, shall speak unto me, and the princes of Moab, as Yahweh will speak to me, and the prince of Moab abode with Balaam. God, now listen, he go to cutter right here. And Elohim came unto Balaam, and he said, what men are with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab, have sent me unto you, saying, here you go, y'all. Behold, there is a people that come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth, and come now, curse me them. Peradventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. Now listen, here go the killer. And Elohim said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse thy people, for they are blessed. Head lob, Israel. These ain't Israelites being talked to. Priest Balaam is an Amorite priest. He is the last of the Amorite priests before we're about to overthrow them. Israel, this is deep. Israel, I want you to think about this. If they're clearly saying they're looking at us walking into their land, then these are not Israelites talking. It clearly told you these is Midianites, the king of Moab, and the priest is an Amorite. Is this hard to get? This is not an Israelite. This is an Amorite priest. Who is what? What is he doing? And Elohim came unto Balaam. Balaam is not an Israelite priest. Balaam is an Amorite. Now, as we can clearly see, the administration of Babylon was at Sippar. Right? Now, let's do this. See that? They won't even associate that word, but I'm going to show y'all somehow slick they are. In the east, city in the east, Bank Euphrates Tell located. Tell Abu Habab, that's via Iraq, Baghdad. So I let it back where it says the ancient city of Sippar could also refer to the sister city of Sippar Ammon. This is located in the modern site of Tel Eder. A more specific designation of the city was referred to as Sippar or Sippar Yarum. Now watch this. It says the Sumerian king list of Sippar, Emu Adana, and the pre-early dynastic region rulers of the region has yet not turned up. Yes, it has. You already know who the that's why, look, that's why they won't even put the word Amorite in here. See, that's the catch though. Sippar is an Amorite city. And I'm gonna tell you how they do this. See, these people can still read this. You know why? I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you why these people can still read this. Let's go to 2 Kings, to the 17th chapter. Statues. Okay. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahweh, the Elohim, and they built to them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set up images and groves in every high hill under every tree. And they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen, whom Yahweh carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Lord to anger. For they served idols. Therefore Yahweh has said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet the Adonai testified against Israel and against Judah and all the prophets and all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to the law that I command your fathers. And I sent servants and prophets, notwithstanding they would hear, but harden their necks, like the neck of their fathers, and they will not believe. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant and made with their fathers his testimonies, which testified against them, and they followed vanity and become vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them. Well, who is that? That is the 7 nations mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, and the Amorites are the chief of those nations. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God, and they made molten images, even 2 calves. That is the Egyptian religion again. And made a grove and worshiped the host of heaven and served Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. Here we go. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelled therein. So I keep having to do this. Okay. Now look at that. Sepharvaim definition and meaning. It was a double city and received a common name, Sepharvaim, the two sippers, or the two book towns. See, this is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. When this Assyrian king placed these people here, when we came back, they didn't leave. These same people would have showed up and ate Passover with Hezekiah. They would have had to embrace the covenant. In the book of Jeremiah, in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah tells us, okay, I want to make this clear. And the chef, now that already looks like that word Sephardi again. So let's deal with that real quick. Shephatiah. All right. I'm good. Just had to check on that one real quick. Make sure that's not no Sepharvaim connection. Okay. And the son of Pasha and Jukal, the son of Shemisha, and Pasha, the son of Malachiah, heard the words of Jeremiah and spoken unto all the people, saying, Listen, thus said Adonai, he that remaineth in the city shall die. Okay. By the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall save his life for a prey and shall live. Okay? Israel was desolate, y'all. See, that's the thing. When Israel became desolate, the Sepharvaim, they would have went back home to Babylon. We did not go back to Babylon. We fled into Egypt. You know, this gets tiring, y'all. I'm gonna be honest, because it's like you have to continuously show this. You have to continuously show this. This is 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 26. All the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. Now, I just showed you that everybody who was going to live, who wouldn't be messed up, was supposed to go with the Chaldeans. But we didn't do it. Arose and came to Egypt. Let's precept that. All right. In the 3rd year of the reign of Joachim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Jerusalem, besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, to his hand to part the vessels of the house of God, which he had carried to the land of Shinar, the house of his God. And he brought vessels into a treasure house of his God. And he spoke to that looks like Ashkenaz, master of his eunuchs, and should be certain children of Israel to the kings and the princes, children who have no blemish, but well favored, skillful in wisdom, cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, such as had the ability in them to stand in the king's palace, whom they may teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldean. That's why Daniel was here. Daniel was here to be preserved. Israel, and I'm talking to you in America. You have to acknowledge we are the ones who left and ran into Egypt. When we ran into Egypt, that would automatically activate the curses. This is why we get brought to America, because the word Egypt has nothing to do with Africa. It just don't. But the way it's used scripturally, it means bondage. This is why the people in America, we are the descendants. I'm going to do this one more time. You are the descendants of the Israelites who fled into Africa during the days of Jeremiah. And I'm not saying it's Zadok. I didn't say Zadok. I said the Israelites who fled. And you know what? I want to show y'all something. And it's going to tie back into the Ezekiel 16. Because a lot of people are going to say, well, it is a parable. Yes. Yes. But in Ezekiel 16, the one thing that you're forgetting is that Ezekiel is not in Israel. This is a vision. This is a vision. Because Ezekiel is still in the river Chebar. It never once says that he physically left. He is in a vision. And the people, remember, he has taken Ezekiel's in Babylon. So I want to show y'all something. Because we have to deal with time. Okay. And this is what the time splits. And this is what people mess up. So I'm going to show y'all this. Let's go to Ezekiel 1 real quick. Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month of the 5th day, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar. Right? Chebar River. Okay? So for everybody who's got this problem with these anachronisms, Ezekiel is here. This is not Israel. This is Babylon, guys. So when all them people say, oh, he was talking to Jerusalem, no, he's making a prophecy and giving them history. You know why? Because you know who Ezekiel's talking to in Ezekiel 16? I'm going to show you. It's real easy. Watch this. Let's go to Ezekiel 16. I'm going to show you who he's talking to. Ezekiel 16:3. And say, thus said Adonai Yahweh, to Jerusalem, thy birthplace and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite. Ezekiel knew exactly who was taking him. Excuse me, let me go back to the Chebar. Ezekiel knew who was taking him. That's what Ezekiel was. This is Israel over here. He was among the captives, but he was not in Israel. In Ezekiel 16, he was carried there. In Ezekiel 8, he is carried here in a vision. He never left physically. There's a lot of Jake tripped up on this chapter, even elders too. He was talking to the Amorites and he was telling them their history. Because remember, the king of Assyria has brought guys from this area. And for what y'all don't see, that's Nippur right there. You see that? Remember, Nippur and Sippur are the twin scribing cities. And this is in Sippur. That's a giant. See, the problem that we're running into is that guys are dealing with false time. Watch this. Watch this. This is going to confound them all. Watch this. It's called a Nehemiah 13. And I'm going to show you something. Now, watch this. Okay. And I made treasuries over the treasuries, Shelemiah, priest, and Zadok, the scribe, and the Levites, Pedah, next to him Hanah and Zakar, the son of Mattha, for they were counted faithful, and their office was to distribute to their brethren. Remember me, O God, concerning this, and wipe not out my good deeds, for I have done for the house of my God and the officers. In those days I saw in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath. Stop. In those days I saw in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing sheaves and laden asses, and also wine and grapes and figs and all manner of burdens. Let's stop. Stop. Every Israelite knows working on the Sabbath in this day was literally a death penalty. Why do you think Nehemiah is telling you this? In those days I saw in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing sheaves and laden asses, also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day therein they sold victuals. It says, there dwelt men of Tyre, Canaanites. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein. Now, where are they dwelling? Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and wipe out all of my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God. This is the temple. Also wherein they brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath. Now, Israel, do you really think this is us doing this? He just told you there dwelt men of Tyre. These are Canaanites. Why? Because Nehemiah represents us coming back out of exile from Babylon. When we come back, there are Canaanites in the temple. And this is why Nehemiah says, I testified against them. Who? There dwelt men of Tyre also therein. He said, but in those days I saw in Judah. He didn't say Judites. This is what he sees going on in Judah. I'm going to prove this. Watch this. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, What evil is this? What evil is this thing that ye do and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers did not your did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all the evils upon us in this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. Some of my servants set at the gates, that there should be no burden be brought on the Sabbath day. So merchant sellers of all kinds of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. Then I testified against them, and I said unto them, Why lodge ye about the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time forth, they came no more. Do you get that? Nehemiah said, Look, nigga, if I catch y'all down here selling that food, doing this work on the Sabbath at the temple one more time, I will lay hands on you. And commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves. Now I'm going to ask you the real fucking question. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, that they should come and keep thy gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and spare me according to the greatness. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and of Ammon and of Moab, and their children spake half the speech of Ashdod, and they could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. Told you this wasn't us. Let's keep going. And I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and I plucked off their hair, and I made them swear by God, saying, You shall not give your daughters unto your sons, and you shall not take their daughters unto your sons. Watch this. Watch this. Let me go back. Because there's something I missed, and it's profound. Now listen to this. Look at this. Because they met not the children of Israel. He's just giving a recount. He says, on that day, they read the book of Moses, and the audience of the people, therein was found written that the Ammonites and the Moabites should not come into the congregation of God forever, because they did not meet the children of Israel with bread or with water, but hired Balaam, you remember, the Amorite priest, against them, that they should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they heard the law, that they separated from Israel in the mixed multitudes. Now listen to this. Now listen. And before this, Elisheba, priest having oversight of the chamber of the house of God, was allied to Tobiah. Y'all don't remember him? We're going to come back. We're going to come back to him. And he prepared him for a great chamber, where after time they laid a meat offering and frankincense in the vessels and the tithes of the corn and the new wine and oil, which had commanded to be given to the Levites and the singers and the potters and the offerings. But in this time was not I at Jerusalem, for the 213th year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came unto the king in certain days, obtained the leave for the king. Now, and I came to Jerusalem, understanding the evil that Elishib did for Tobiah, and preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God. This is a Canaanite. And as we already went down, just already shown you. Now look, Look, let's prove that. When I commanded, and they cleansed the chambers, you mean kicked them people out, and thither brought again the vessels of the house of God with the meat offerings and frankincense, and I perceived the portion of the Levites had not been given to them. For the Levites and the singers that did the work were fled everyone to his field. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? The Levites didn't have complete charge of the temple. Nehemiah 13, he clearly tells you there were Canaanites in there. And this is what I've been pointing out, that when we left and we came back, the priesthood was overthrown and usurped. Then we go back to Egyptian religion, and the deal was done from that point. Let's watch this. Because I'm finna get out here because I got another lesson to work on. I might not go to sleep. Rest in peace. I had 2 of my cousins die in 1 week, y'all. But I'm going to keep this thing going. So look, I'm going to just do this real quick. Ezekiel 8th chapter is going to explain some of this stuff. And it came to pass in the 6th year, the 6th month, and the 5th day, the 5th month, I sat in mine house, and the elders of Judah sat before me. And the hand of the Lord God fell there upon me. Then behold, a low likeness, an appearance of fire, an appearance of his loins, even down with fire from his loins, even up with the appearance of a brightness of the color of amber. And he put forth a hand and took me by a lock of my head, and the Spirit lifted me between the earth and heaven, and brought me in visions of the God of Jerusalem to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north. So, boom, bada bing, just told you. Ezekiel was not in Israel. He was right here. Elohim gives him a vision, and he sees what's happening in Jerusalem. But him himself, he is not there. Let's keep going. And it says, behold, the glory of Israel is there according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Now listen. And he said to me, Son of man, lift up thy eyes away to the north. And so I lifted up my eyes toward the north, and behold, north at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy. He said, furthermore, Son of man, seest what they do, even the great abominations the house of Israel committed, so that I should go forth from my sanctuary. But ye again, let's get to the point. I want to get to the point. He said, Ezekiel 8:8. Then he said unto me, Son of man, dig into this wall. When I digged into the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go, and behold, the wicked abominations that they do here. When I went in, I saw and behold every creeping thing, every abominable beast, and the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. Now listen, and there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst they stood Jezaniah, son of Shaphan, with every man in his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud. But the key I want you to see is them 70 men, the ancients, the elders. The ancients just means old. The elders were doing this. This is exactly why Nehemiah, when he comes back, he kicks everybody out. Because one, Canaanites had took it over, and you got wicked Israelites who was sitting right there with them, letting them do it. This is why Nehemiah 13, he said the Levites had not got their portion. And the Levites went to his field. Well, the Levites were never supposed to be in the field. And their portion is supposed to be given to them. They're not supposed to work for it. That's the point that's being missed. You're thinking about a time when we're not there versus a time where other people are there. And then you're mixing them together. Just how we begin in this showing how Salakia, how Egypt is not what you think it is. And we're going to continue to show you that the Babylonian scribes would have got into our heritage when we was caught up. I ain't gonna go no farther with this one. Look, it's gonna say Shalom. We're definitely gonna do a continuation. It's gonna say Shalom, peace, and we'll definitely be getting it in on another day. Barakatah Yahweh, all praise to Yahweh. Shalom, and I love y'all.